Lamont Thomas, Ty Mongomery here with LegacyMaker Sports, and we're here to break down the 2020 NBA Finals. We have the Miami Heat versus the LA Lakers. And Ty, we are in for a treat. The storylines are all set up. We are ready to go. We are one game in, and we're going to do our best to break down every game for anybody out there who wants this recap, man. So um, first of all, how you feel about the finals and the setup and everything that's going on, man?
I feel good, man. The energy is there. Like, first of all, I must say this NBA bubble has been a success, man. Like,
Yeah, sure.
I didn't think it was going to work at first. I think Russell Westbrook came in before the bubble actually officially started. He had it. I think a couple of other guys had it too. I was skeptical, man, but it worked out perfectly.
Me too. It did. It did work out. Leave it up to the boy from my Rockets, man. That's about to have COVID. It's that type of year, 2020. He's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
playing around with us, man.
yeah, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
But
man.
I'm excited, man, and we got a good game one for the LA Lakers. That is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all come to a head, right? It's all come to this point when we talked about who's going to be there. Is it going to be Clippers? Is it going to be Bucks? Is it going to be Lakers? Now we have our setting, and surprisingly, the Miami Heat. Shout out to the head man DL man because I know he's excited. That's his squad. So the Miami Heat are here. You got Eric Spoelstra. Has got this young group, this young talent, man, believing, and they are buying into what he's selling, man. And now they are here, find themselves in their NBA Finals, taking on none other than the king and the court, man. So here we are. And Wednesday we had our first game. So we had our first game last night. And tell me what you saw, man. Tell me what you got.
Well, Miami Heat, they came out firing. They were
They
red
did
hot to start the game, and
absolutely.
I thought it was going to be a series. And it's only game one. Let's not overreact. And we still got a series here, but the injuries, they might cost the Heat. They
Yeah,
might cost the Heat.
yeah, it might be tough. Yeah,
But it was a good outing. Jimmy, the star of Miami, he came to play, and
yeah.
they need him to do what he did for this whole series to be a series. But Jimmy, he delivered. So as long as he can step his game up and keep doing what he's doing, I think there still might be a slight chance of hope.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd say the same thing. Like the Heat they got a fire and a passion in them that it doesn't matter who they're on the court with. They come to compete, right? Like that's their bottom line, and I think that's why they're so sneaky. Is
Hmm.
they snuck up on everybody because they know that no matter what, no matter who they've been on the court with, they've kind of been taking it lightly. And now they're ready to take on anybody and everybody who's ever doubted them. So I mean, when you have that kind of motivation, man, it can take you far. So I'm interested in the storyline of Spoelstra versus Vogel. Like we talked about this for a brief moment on our chat, man, and I'm really interested in this storyline because if you rewind it back to 2012, 2013, they were at a feud again, right? Because Vogel was the head of the Pacers. They were, I think, seeds 2 and 3. Um, and Spoelstra had all the firepower, right? He had LeBron, he had D Wade, he had Chris Bosh, and Vogel had the young squad. He had his David West, and Danny Granger, and Paul George, and he was trying to figure out how to cause problems for the Miami Heat, and he did. Right, the first time it was I believe a 4-2 series.
Hmm.
The second time it went 7. We
Hmm.
conference finals, and it was like who would have thought? Who would have thought the Pacers would have taken Miami Heat, the stacked Miami Heat, to 7 games? And then when I looked at it, I said, "Man, Vogel's got something." You
Yep.
know what I mean? And now the shoe is on the other foot. How you couldn't write this any better? Now Vogel is the one in LA with LeBron James, and he's got the veteran players, right? He's got 6 players that's been to the finals.
Hmm.
Now, but Jimmy Butler is the veteran for the Heat, and they're young. They got the young shooters, Duncan Robertson, Hero, and now they're the ones trying to see if they can poke the bear, so to speak. So now, what I got from this, and there was a moment in the first 5 minutes, they were up 10-5. Miami, like you said, came out firing, and there was a play where I saw the chess match. And what it was is LeBron had the ball up top. They did a switch, and he purposely got Adebayo to guard him on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was he ended up pulling up for three, and it went in, right? But it was so much more than that. What I saw under the basket when he pulled that shot, they had Adebayo exactly where they wanted him, right? Because he's the
Mm-hmm.
X factor. He's the only one in these playoffs that really can give Anthony Davis a challenge if he's matched up, right? Athletically. So now you have Adebayo on the outside. And on the inside, you have Jimmy Butler and Jay Crowder trying to box out Anthony Davis and Dwight Howard, who doesn't start all year long, right?
Yeah.
But specifically, Vogel says, "Oh, the Heat think they got something. Watch this," and he puts another big athletic
Mm-hmm.
7-footer just about in the lineup just to bring out a value out of his comfort zone, right? Because you might be able to give Anthony Davis problems, but there's two of them, right? You
Yeah.
got you got big guys. So now what does the Heat do? Right. And so when I saw that play, Ty, I'm just looking at it like, this is chess. This is a
Yeah.
chessboard, not checkers in here. And so I saw that play and I said, whew. Originally I said Lakers in 6. I said it might be 5. Because personnel wise, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
So then
The go ahead.
no, you got it, man.
No, I was just gonna say the Heat. They are kind of outmatched at this point. When you look at the makeup of that roster, Bam is the only intimidator of that team. Like, he got that intimidator badge from 2K. He's the only enforcer that the Miami Heat has. You're not going to expect Kelly Olynyk to come out and defend and get rebounds. Even Derrick Jones Jr. He's pretty athletic, but he's not necessarily a big. He's
Right.
not going to be banging down low with these guys that the Lakers got. And the Lakers, you just mentioned two of them. A guy that doesn't get enough love, in my opinion, is JaVale McGee. I mean, he's good for at least a block or two a game. He plays hard every play too, just as
He's got
hard
a
as
big
Dwight.
presence, man. He's got a big man presence, and that is seldom now in today's
Hmm.
NBA. It's a weapon.
Yeah, it is. So like you said, for the Heat to lose Bam Adebayo with the neck injury, it's critical right now at this moment because who's going to stop Anthony Davis?
And that was the thing, right? It's like we all wanted to see. I think from everybody watching, we wanted to see what Bam was going to do to Anthony Davis. We felt like up until this point, AD has been killing. He's a monster, but he really didn't have that person, right? That person,
Hmm.
like you said, be an enforcer until
Hmm.
Bam in this series, and everybody just went, "Oh my God, I
Yeah.
gotta do this." And now we see that with the IQs of people like LeBron and Vogel and even a Rondo, they
Hmm.
know where to put people on the court to take them out of where their strengths are, right? They knew that they wanted to put Bam on the outside. And when they only took 5 minutes to do that, I'm like, this is going to be a problem. But Spoelstra came back. He came back. He said, "Okay, well, you guys want to go big on me? I'm gonna make it a shooters game, right?" So he had all his shooters in the game, and they end up going up 10-12, right? Because so that happens next. So what did you think when you saw the Heat take that lead like that?
I thought it was good for the Heat. Like you said, this is a chess match. We're not playing checkers here. Spoelstra as a coach in the league, in my opinion, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's a heck of a
Hey,
coach,
man,
man.
he's top tier. I was telling everybody he's top tier.
Heck of a coach. And for the Lakers, not the Lakers, the Heat to go small like that, they got shooters. But Tyler Hero can light it up. Duncan Robinson was probably the best 3-point shooter of the league this season. Um, they're deep at that shooting spot, but the Lakers, it's hard to answer the Lakers because they can go back and do it too. You got a guy like Kyle Kuzma on the bench who can play small ball. He can control the ball. Rondo and Caruso, they've been incredible, especially Rondo, man. He turned back the hands of time.
You
So
play.
go ahead.
No. I was just saying I was agreeing with you. Playoff
Yeah,
Ron.
man. He turned back the hands of time. So I mean, the Heat are in a bad position. Let's just say, I mean, as good as they are, incredible as they have been all season long, it's a tough position to be in. They already are facing the two best players on the court with LeBron and AD. But the Lakers are well put together. I didn't think that they were to start the season. I looked at that Laker team and I said, oh, they're old. Oh, they need another shot creator. And that's the thing. I feel like the Lakers are like trying to prove a point here because when Avery Bradley said, oh, I'm not going to the bubble, when, the talk was like, oh, who's going to be the third guy because Kuzma's not stepping up. But
Yes.
and you know what? They signed Deion Waiters, they signed J.R. Smith. I'm like, oh, those are good players to have on this team. They can be those guys. They haven't even played them.
Still
And
haven't.
they're crushing the whole league throughout this whole playoffs. So that I feel like the Lakers have proved a point, and I think they did it on purpose. Like, hey, we're gonna sign you guys, but y'all not gonna play. Y'all just gonna fill up the roster. And if we need you, we need you, but we're not gonna go with you. And Rondo and Caruso, they've been incredible. I can't stress it enough.
Yeah, and that's where I think that that trio comes of Bron, a guy like Rondo, and then like a Vogel, right? Like so, I feel like Vogel kind of he moved the queen, so to speak, in the chess game, right? Like he was like, okay, he's looking at all the teams around him, and he's like, the Clippers just got players for days, right? Like
Hmm.
that was their whole storyline. Well, they're so deep on the bench, they're so deep, and we all know from watching playoff basketball that being deep is fine, but you're going to need that 8-man rotation that you can rely on, when it comes to slowing the game down and having a pace. And Vogel did just that. Like you said,
Hmm.
he has two different, really, rotations that he puts in there, and they come together and they work like magic. Like right, everybody has their role. Like you said, he brings in Caruso and Kuzma off the bench. And if you looked at it, the Heat got all the shots they wanted, like in the first quarter. And then he was like, okay, well, on my small ball lineup, I'm gonna stick everybody in their passing lanes. So now all that cutting stuff, taking it away. And it was funny because I saw the Heat go up 12, and I said, okay, well, LeBron's on the bench, so they better make this go up as much as they can.
Yeah.
No, LeBron comes in the game, 5 minutes left in the first quarter, and by the end of the first, the Heat were up one, or they were up three, or something like that. And I'm like, I'm just looking like I'm trying to carve out possibilities for the Heat, and it just keeps dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. I'm like, they better find a way, man.
I agree, man. I said at the end of that first quarter, I said, man, the Lakers, they still managed to win this first quarter despite the slow start. I mean, Miami wasn't missing, man. And the Lakers were able to respond and still win that first quarter. That was unbelievable. And like you mentioned, LeBron was on the bench and they came back. I mean, kudos to that bench play, man. I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, and I give that to Vogel, man. I give that to Vogel in that second unit for, you know, they took the time. They took that used that time in the bubble to really create their identity. They got all their pieces working like clockwork, man, and they don't miss a beat. And
Hmm.
now we know what happened in the rest of the game. The Lakers took over. They dominated, right? So if you're Eric Spoelstra and the Heat, what do you do, or what kind of adjustments do you make going into game two, man? What's your next move on adjustment?
You know what, man? I feel like the Heat may have a weapon X. Um, it's unfortunate because we all known him all season long.
Mm-hmm.
He's a rookie. He got sick due to this darn pandemic. He got the COVID virus right before the bubble started and fell out of the rotation. I'm not even sure why a guy can play basketball, and that's Kendrick Nunn. He had a good game in game one of the final. He's a rookie. He had a good game, and the guy unfortunately that took his spot, Goran Dragic, he's out. That foot is messed up right now. So Kendrick would probably get the start, and you just got to go back to the way you was playing with him throughout the whole regular season. Other than that, you're in a tough position if you're Miami, if you're Eric Spoelstra. You're down two starters now. Dragic was your veteran. He was your leading scorer throughout the playoffs. And like I said, Bam has been the enforcer. He's practically the only solid big man presence on this team.
Yeah,
You're not going to play Udonis Haslem. I mean, He's like 50, 60 years old. He's not getting the game. He's there for his mentals.
He's basically an assistant coach right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. He is like. I'm surprised. I won't be surprised if he does join that coaching staff as soon as he call it a career. But it's a tough spot to be in for the Heat. But you have no choice but to go small. I mean, that's what your
Yeah,
personnel allows you to do.
yeah, I agree, and it's gonna be interesting because I look at the Heat and like you said, a guy like Nunn, they still have untapped potential, right? So like that, like you said, it serves like a weapon X, right? Because you don't even know what it can do. So it would be great to have both of them, to have Dragic and Nunn,
Mm-hmm.
but unfortunately you don't. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the extent of that foot injury is. Did they say he's out, or is it still to be determined? I'm guessing.
It's still to be determined. He's doubtful. I don't think he'll play,
Yeah,
but I, I think it's like a 6 to 10, maybe 12 week time period for it to fully heal.
yeah.
But
See,
but they say guys have played on it before, but not much production while playing on it. So
the NBA Finals, man, you don't want to be taking that for I don't know.
yeah.
But I don't know, like I'm looking at it and I'm like, like you said, you lose a lot with Dragic, right? Because you lose your leading scorer. He's a guy that when you absolutely need a bucket, he can get a bucket. He can do things. He can create. Shots for others while he's hot.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm shout out to Nunn, man, for having to fill those shoes. But at the same time, you do like you said, he can ball. He had a good game, game one, and he's gonna be out to prove himself. He knows that the Heat are right back in the mantra that they came into the playoffs with, right? Like they're underdogs. Nobody's expecting them to compete. Nobody's expecting them to win, and all they do is want to compete. Like they want their name in the same conversation as everybody else, and that motivation again is dangerous. So um, you know, here we go, man. We're gonna see what we got in game two tomorrow. And
Hmm.
what do you got, man? What are you foreseeing for game two?
All right. So it's tough to say.
It
And
is
before I answer, I'm gonna say this: like, me and you, we play ball. We haven't played together yet. We going to though.
for sure.
Don't worry. We gonna be on that court together soon when this pandemic's over. But when you playing ball and you feel like, oh, we got the advantage. These guys are some scrubs. They young. You know, we could take it easy. We going So I feel like the Lakers, they let the Miami Heat come back. Sometimes when you feel like you got the clear advantage, you kind of play down to the competition. You let your foot off that gas pedal, so to say. So that's kind of what I saw from the Lakers in game one. So it's up to LeBron and the coaching staff to keep the team focused. LeBron, he's been here before. He got the right mindset, and I feel like he is going to keep that team focused and hungry. The Lakers should take care of them with no problem. But like I said, sometimes you tend to play down to your competition. So I feel like it's going to be a lot closer than what it looks like at the end of the game. But the Lakers should win tomorrow.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just too much for the Heat to overcome. But I will say that I do see that fight in them. Like you said, they managed to come back, game one, and they just don't. I don't think they know where they are right now.
Hmm.
Which is good and bad, right? Because
Hmm.
you don't think about the lack of experience you have. You just go play. And I
Yep.
think the story of game two is going to be LA's defense versus Miami's Dolphins, right? Miami's strength is that they have the ability when they go small to light it up,
Hmm.
right? And depending on how well they do that, that could present some problems with the Lakers because we know that when they play that game of three or no bucket, a lot of times they struggle with that. And if they have to try to keep up with Miami, that could stir up some danger for them. So I think that's going to be the story to tell. I say if Miami can shoot as well as they did in the first game and actually have some type of defensive presence. I don't know how they're going to do it, but if they can somehow gut it out and hang in there with LA, then they may be able to get closer. Maybe get under a 10-point deficit or under a 10-point, swing when it comes to the end of the game. Because in that final 4 minutes, it's all about what you got left in the tank, man. We all know that.
Yeah, it is. And I think one thing that Miami may do in game two is probably, something they probably thought of in game one, but game one was a wash. When Dragic went down, when Bam went down, they did a lot of this in the Boston series. They went zone. And, sometimes, guys say, oh, zone is easy to play. But, I mean, not if you only got, one shot creator on the floor and LeBron. Well,
Right.
Rondo's been playing a lot with LeBron lately, but, the starting lineup, Rondo's on the bench. So I can see Miami going with the zone early on to try to slow down that Laker team. I mean, they're outmatched anyway, outsized.
Mhm.
So the zone might be their best friend in this instance right here.
Right. And if anybody can do that, Spoelstra can do
It's
it.
Spoelstra.
That's the thing. At LeBron, he's seen Vogel basically not stop but semi-contain LeBron.
hmm
Now that the shoe is on the other foot, the challenge is on Spoelstra, right? It's your move. So we'll see what they got coming on and what they do in game two here tomorrow, man. And we'll be here to chop it up, hopefully, man. So I appreciate you getting on with me, man. I just really wanted to, you know, get a recap, man, and let everybody know what we're looking at in these finals for sure.
Yeah, man, this was dope.
All right, well there y'all have it, man. There you go. You got my man Ty Montgomery always keeping it cool, man. And Lamont Thomas, man, from LegacyMaker Sports. We're just trying to give you this NBA Finals recap. Stay tuned for Game 2 tomorrow night. We'll give you the recap then. Until then, everybody, LegacyMaker Sports out.